Hi there, Smart Drivers. Rick with Smart Drive Test talking to you today about 16 tips to help you pass your road test and be successful. Stick around. We'll be right back with that information. Hi there, Smart Drivers. Welcome back. Talking to you today about 16 tips to help you pass your road test. And Lolita is here. Bricks for Wheels, that's Corey. Corey is the moderator, and Corey is there in Winnipeg, Manitoba, where I'm sure the snow is finally beginning to melt there. Yes, commonly referred to as Winterpeg in Manitoba. So welcome everybody. We'll just wait a couple minutes here for everybody to tune in. If you're just tuning in, let us know what class of license you're going for and where in the world you're tuning in from, and that way we can help you out and help you to be successful on passing your road test. So Smart Drive Test helps new drivers get a license, veteran drivers to remain crash free, and CDL drivers to start a career as a truck or bus driver. So AP Manager is here, Anita is here. Hello everyone. Yes, Anita had a typo there on her comments. Tends to happen every now and again. And yes, so again, if you're just tuning in, let us know where you're tuning in from. Let us know what class of license you're going for. And here at Smart Drive Test, we can help you pass a license regardless of class of license, regardless of where you are in the world, and regardless of how old you are. We can help you with all of that. And Junior, I failed my test 2 weeks ago. Sorry to hear that. Rory is taking a CDL license in the state of Michigan, the Badger, as we referred to it when I was driving truck. So welcome everybody, and I'll talk to you a little bit about who I am, Smart Drive Test, and we're doing awesome. Connecticut, so you failed your road test in Connecticut. I'm sorry to hear that, but you just simply an unsuccessful attempt, and no doubt you're going to get your license on next attempt. So Colton is here from Victoria, British Columbia. I was just there a couple of weeks ago. Latasha, you're going to pass for sure, definitely, and if you look at the videos here on the channel, that'll definitely help you out. Anita's tuning in from Antigua, and if you're watching on the replay as well, let us know what class of license you're going for, and let us know where you're tuning in from. Isaiah is tuning in from Lafayette, Indiana. Hello there, from the Midwest in the United States. That's brilliant. Simply brilliant. Awesome. So we're going to get going here with the PowerPoint presentation. Live stream, bad video settings. Please use, oh, I hope this doesn't happen too long. Now, Corey, if I'm having any problems with the video, just let me know, and I might have to go off and reset it. But it's here on the dashboard, it's telling me that it's not working very well. So I don't know whether it's buffering or what's going on the other end. Paula, I'm a driving instructor. Always watch your videos. That's awesome. Thank you so much. And if there's anything we can help you out with in terms of the driving instruction and whatnot, then certainly let us know and we'll help you out. Latasha, thank you. You're most welcome. Beastie Beast, I passed the first time. Try using your tips. Thank you so much. That is awesome. And Paula is from California. I'm probably not saying that right, and I do apologize. Katie is looking for Class D there in Minnesota in 2 months, in less than 2 months, and that's awesome. There's a video on Chapter 2. It's the California manual, but it should be fairly similar for you there, Katie, in terms of getting your Class D license. Corey says, the summer has certainly arrived here in Winterpeg. Nice day, though. That's brilliant. It's very nice here as well. Yes, we had a nice drive back from Kelowna this morning. Connie, I'm trying to get my 7 heavy house trailer learner's license. Awesome. And Connie, house trailer, so your house trailer endorsement. Yes, and if we can help you with that, I can get some questions up for you over at the Smart Drive Test website for less than about $10, Connie, if that's of interest to you. Drop me an email, rick@smartdrivetest.com, and I'll get those practice driving test questions up for you, so you can be successful in getting that that house trailer endorsement. Okay, Toronto, Ontario, Azzy, still watching videos, even past my G jam there in Toronto. That's awesome. Sam will take G1 exit test this month in Ottawa. That's brilliant, awesome, absolutely great. Okay, so we've got quite a number of people here, so we're going to switch over to the PowerPoint presentation and get going on that. And obviously, I will come back and answer any questions you have on passing a road test. So here we go, PowerPoint presentation, 16 tips to pass your road test first time. And and just as a disclaimer here, this is not an exclusive list by any stretch of the imagination. And as you know, driving is fluid, driving is dynamic, which means that it's always changing. According to the driving task, the 6 different things that you're dealing with in terms of traffic. Just let me get this here in my head around this. So drivers, the vehicles, the roadway, traffic, and weather and light. Those 6 things are always changing. So this is not a comprehensive list, but this will certainly get you started in terms of driving and passing a road test. Whoop, on the wrong screen here. There we go. We are not having any luck here. Just bear with me here. Just one sec. There we go. That's gone. Having some technical issues. Not many, but here we go. Plus, what am I doing? No, the other way. There we go. Okay. And page down. So, for those of you new to Smart Drive Test, my name is Rick August. I was a truck driver through most of the 1990s. I became a licensed driving instructor in 1997, so I've been a driving instructor for almost 20 years now. And yes, I have conducted road tests as well, and I have passed and failed people. And we're going to talk a little bit about that as well in the question and answer period. 2006, I graduated from the University of Melbourne in Australia with a doctorate in legal history, which is the study of policing, courts, and prisons, for those of you who may or may not know. And oddly enough, my expertise is in policing as it relates to traffic. And while I was doing my doctorate at the University of Melbourne, I drove buses for both Greyhound and one of the regional bus lines there. So new videos this week, hit the cones. If you're just getting started with driving, go out to the parking lot and yes, hit the cones. And that's a good video on teaching you about your vehicle, where it is in space and place, and as well giving you mastery of the primary controls, which is the throttle, the brake, and the steering wheel. For those of you driving a manual transmission, it'll also be clutch control, which is going to help you out. And then I did a video which was a request on the part of some smart drivers to do reverse stall parking with cones. So I did that as well and gave you some tips on how to do that. And both of those videos are available. And Corey put those up there for you. All right, so tip number 1 in terms of passing a road test: right of way is always given, it is never taken, which means that if another road user, whether that be a cyclist, a pedestrian, another driver in a car or big truck or whatnot, if they're going to insist that they're going to go in the path where you want to go, you're going to have to stop. You're going to have to give them the right of way. So the right of way is always given, it is never taken. And if you're in doubt on your road test, simply stop until the traffic situation changes, which won't take very long. Usually it's less than 10 seconds and the traffic situation will change. The road users will move out of the way, or the drivers will move out of the way, and then you can carry on. And this is one of the things that I tell students, because a lot of times when they get into a very complex traffic situation, they don't know how to handle it. Sometimes they'll plow forward and unfortunately be unsuccessful on the road test because another driver or road user had to stop or deviate out of their path to avert that student. And if that happens, that's an automatic fail on your road test. It's better to stop, wait for the traffic to change, and then continue on your way. So that's the first tip. Next tip, and I get this question a lot from smart drivers, is the difference between two-way stop signed intersections and four-way stop signed intersection. The rules are different for these two types of intersections. At two-way stop signed intersections, it is straight through traffic, has the right of way over turning traffic, and right-hand turning vehicles have the right of way over left-hand turning vehicles. And for two-way stops, the traffic on the major road has the right of way over the traffic on the minor road. Of course, the minor road is being controlled by the stop sign, so know that. On four-way stop signs, it's the first person to arrive or the vehicle on the right is going to have the right of way at four-way stop signs. And of course, pedestrians are also going to have the right of way who are in the roadway, so they have the right of way. So know that there's going to be different rules, and Corey will get those two videos up for you in terms of stopping positions and the rules for two-way stop signs and four-way stop signs, and know that for the purposes of a road test that these two are going to be different. Your job on a road test, tip number 3 here, is to demonstrate that you have due care and control of the vehicle in changing traffic conditions. And that goes back to tip number 1 when I was saying if you're in the least bit of doubt and can't handle the situation or don't know the exact strategy that you should implement, then simply stop, wait for the traffic to clear, and then proceed. All right, so this is your job on the purposes of a road test. And again, the other piece that I say with this that goes hand in hand with this. Your job is to take away the driving examiner's right to fail you, and that's all you need to do for the purposes of passing a road test. One of the automatic fails on a road test is an action contrary to a sign, and these are the signs that action contrary to. If you have an action contrary to a cautionary sign, you're not going to fail. However, if you have an action contrary to a regulatory sign, which are speed signs, stop signs, yield signs, railway crossing signs, these are all regulatory signs. You will find these in your driver's manual. If you have an action contrary to a speed sign, for example, if you're speeding, if it's 30 miles an hour, and you're doing 35 miles an hour for an extended period of time, you're not going to be successful on your road test. If you don't come to a complete stop at a stop sign, you're not going to be successful on your road test. If you speed and if you disobey a construction sign, you're not going to be successful on a road test. And lane usage signs, if it's a left-hand turning lane and you get in the left-hand turning lane and you proceed to go straight through the intersection, you're not going to be successful on your road test. So action contrary to a sign is going to cause you to fail your road test. Number 5, left-hand turns at complex intersections with multi-lanes, so more than one lane of traffic. So if you have 2 lanes of traffic, after you make the left-hand turn, you immediately have to move over to the right-hand lane. Unless the examiner says to you, I want you to turn left at the next block, unless the examiner says that to you, then you need to move right to the right-hand lane almost immediately as soon as you make the left-hand turn and your vehicle straightens out. And you can look at the lane changing video as well that will help you out with shoulder checking, proper signaling, and correct techniques for executing a left-hand turn and then moving over to the right-hand lane. Number 6, intersections. Never block an intersection. Never enter an intersection unless you can clear that intersection. And I'm a little ticked at myself because last week I was crunching some video and I had the dash cam out of the car, and of course I just ran off to jiu-jitsu class, and of course I was at the intersection and I looked across the intersection and the traffic was backed up out into the intersection. Well, I couldn't clear the intersection, so I stopped. I was across the crosswalk, but I stopped and I stayed there. And it would have been a great video for not blocking the intersection, because on a road test, if you do that, you enter the intersection, you can't clear it, and you're stuck there. When the light changes to red, you're going to fail your road test. All right, so know that. Slow speed maneuvers. Most of your road test is in a forward motion. 7/8 of it is in a forward motion. 1/8 is slow speed maneuvers. And you can be guaranteed that for any road test anywhere in the world, the minimum slow speed maneuvers that you're going to be required to do for the purposes of a road test are reverse stall parking, 3-point turn, and parallel parking. Those are standard fare for a road test. You must be able to do those. Those are a very small portion of the road test, but they're the portion of the road test that give drivers the biggest challenges. However, at one and the same time, if you can do those slow speed maneuvers and other slow speed maneuvers that you may be required to do for the purposes of a road test, it's going to improve your overall driving and make you a better driver. Slow speed maneuvers teach you where your vehicle is in space and place, and it teaches you mastery of the primary controls. These are fundamental skills that you need to learn how to drive and how to pass a road test. Number 8, striking a fixed object. For example, if you are reverse stall parking, if you are backing into your parking space when you finish your road test, which are I would say a very high percentage of test centers require you to do, and oftentimes they'll have a cement barrier at the back of the parking space, it's better to be away a little bit than it is to back into that concrete barrier. If you back into that concrete barrier, that is an automatic fail on a road test, so know that. And that's regardless of any class of license, whether it's car, truck, bus, trailer, heavy trailer endorsement, or house trailer endorsement. You strike a fixed object, that's an automatic fail on a road test. All right, number 9. You can fail a road test for being overly cautious. Unfortunately, I had a smart driver ask me that question last week, if it was possible to be overly cautious when driving. And yes, if you are not getting the vehicle up to speed as quickly as possible, if your corners are too slow, if you're not taking the gap, if you're not going when the gap presents itself, all of that can lead to you failing a road test, because it simply states to the examiner that either you're too nervous, and often that nervousness or anxiety will stem from the fact that you simply did not practice enough. So know that number 9, tip number 9, do not be overly cautious on your road test. speed management, space management, observation, and communication. Those 4 skills have to be in place for you to be successful on your road test. Skill number 10, backup cameras. You can't use backup cameras for the purposes of your road test. And even in the state of New Jersey, where they do allow backup cameras for the purposes of a road test, you still need to have all of the other reversing skills in place, the observation skills. And again, Corey will put the video up for you on reversing and how to do that correctly for the purposes of passing a road test. So know that for the purposes of your road test. Now, don't get me wrong, the video on how to drive an SUV, a larger vehicle, that I did with Honda Bannister here a couple of weeks ago, driving the 2017 Honda Pilot that had backup cameras and backup sensors. Oh, it was really nice and really helpful, but you need to put all the other observations in place as well. Number 11, shoulder checking. You must shoulder check a minimum of 2 times every time you turn, or any time that you move the vehicle sideways, any time that you do lane changes. You must minimum shoulder check 2 times before you move the vehicle. And this is the number 1 reason for backing crashes, for sideswipe crashes, is because people don't observe correctly. And even veteran drivers make these mistakes. Last week I was making a lane change. I was driving to Kelowna, and I'm on a multi-lane road, and I went to move over to the right-hand lane to get out of the passing lane. And fortunately, I looked again because I just started moving over. Wasn't quite out of my lane yet, but I looked over, and there's a car right in my blind spot, and in my blind area, and I kind of swerved back, and I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, right?" But it happens to the best of us, so it's imperative that you shoulder check again, and make sure you observe before you move the vehicle over. All right, number 12, painted islands. For the purposes of a road test, do not drive on painted islands. This is most applicable to left-hand turns. And so you can see down here in the bottom on the image that there's a painted island here. This is probably a left-hand turning lane. If the traffic is backed up in this turning lane, do not drive over and sit on this painted island. You must wait in this lane of traffic until the traffic moves forward and you can proceed into the turning lane. If you drive on the painted island, you're going to be either assigned major demerit points or you're going to fail your road test. It depends on the discretion of the driving examiner, but do not drive on painted islands for the purposes of your road test. Number 13, controlled intersections. Some driving examiners may give you directions as per controlled intersections and uncontrolled intersections. And this is the way that I do it. I got this from a driving examiner, that they will say to you, at the next controlled intersection, turn left, or at the uncontrolled intersection, turn right. And the reason that they use that terminology is because driving examiners want to figure out whether you can understand the correct actions at a stoplight, an intersection equipped with a stoplight, or an intersection that's a 2-way stop sign, or an intersection that's a 4-way stop sign. So they'll use this terminology to discover from you whether you've done enough practice and you understand these different types of controlled and uncontrolled intersections. All right. And so a controlled intersection is an intersection where the traffic and road users are controlled by stop signs, yield signs, and traffic lights. All right. Number 14, practicing. When you are practicing in preparation for your road test, practice driving on the roads around the test center at the time of your test. So for example, if your test is at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday, make sure that during the weekday at 10 o'clock in the morning, you are practicing driving in and around the test area, because this will simulate as close as possible what the traffic is going to be like on the day of you taking your test. Same thing as if you're taking your test at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and where you live is notorious for having congestion, traffic jams, and those types of things, know that. Go out at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and practice driving in and around the areas. The other thing that you want to learn is you want to know exactly where schools are, school zone signs are within the vicinity of the driving test center, and you want to know where any slowdowns or speed changes or those types of things are in and around the test center. And I always encourage students, if you're not taking driving lessons, to take a practice driving test with a local driving school. The driving examiner will take you on the test route, so know that as well. And these practice driving tests are inexpensive. I know for Sam at Rookie Auto Driving School there in the Bronx, it's only about $20 to $25. It's very inexpensive, so it's good return on investment for the purposes of preparing for your road test. And then finally, in terms of practicing, on weekends and after hours and on holidays, go into the test center and do the slow speed maneuvers that you have to do in and around the test center. Don't go during work hours because they get very upset about that. But after hours, holidays, and weekends, you can go in and do your reverse stall parking and any other slow speed maneuvers that you have to do at the test center. So know that if you have to do parallel parking in a closed circuit area, so in a parking lot that they have available there, go and practice there. Then you know exactly what you're going to have to do for the purposes of being successful on your road tests. And then number 16, parallel parking. Last one, most important. This is the one that gets students because this is the most challenging slow speed maneuver that you're required to do for the purposes of a road test. It is an automatic fail if you strike the curb and knock the examiner out of her seat on a road test. So essentially what I'm saying is if you push the tire up over the curb or the body rocks on the chassis of the vehicle, that is indeed an automatic fail. However, if you're backing up nice and slow and you just touch the curb and you're like, oh, okay, I touched the curb because you've done lots of driving and you know where your vehicle is in space and place and you pull forward and adjust, that's not a fail on your road test. That's just going to be assigned some demerits. All right, so parallel parking, number 16. And we can talk about these in more depth in the question and answer period here. So good luck on your road test, and remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. There we go. Okay, and transitioning back over here, and we'll get here. And I appreciate people's patience with the little bit of technical difficulty I was having there. And this is still reading that it's saying it has bad video settings here. Corey, what's the quality of the? Is it streaming all right here? All right, so Jenna, figure eights help me a lot. Yes, the figure eights, Jenna, are absolutely awesome in learning how to drive. I encourage students to do that. Go and get a couple of those 36-inch, 1 meter tall pylons. Just put 2 of them at a distance in a parking lot and do forward figure eights. When you get really good at those forward figure eights, then start doing them in reverse. And once you do that, those are the 2 really exceptional exercises that will improve your overall driving. It will improve your mastery of the primary controls, the steering wheel, observation, the brake, the throttle, and it will teach you where your vehicle is in space and place. Any slow speed maneuver, if you spend some time in that, I know it's not sexy. It is not sexy working in a parking lot and doing these slow speed maneuvers. We want to get out and we want to drive around. But it's going to improve your overall driving and make you a better driver faster. So know that for the purposes of learning how to drive and preparing for your road test. All right. Blessed, hello my friend, aloha. I'm always watching your live streams and videos. Your videos have been very helpful, and that is really awesome. Thank you so much, Blessed. I'm glad we can help you pass your road test, or help you to be a better driver. You've already passed your road test. That is absolutely awesome. Jenna, complex intersections make me nervous. Yes, there is a lot of stuff going on at complex intersections. Jenna, how far along in your training are you? Because maybe I can give you a few tips and those sorts of things to help you out. And Colin is here, my friend Colin, Travel and Gaming. Carl from Brampton, just an observer, enjoy the program. Thank you so much, Mr. Thorpe there, K. Thorpe. That's awesome. Glad we can help out. Mabel, I just want to thank you guys with all the ideas you share and planning to go and get my CDL pretty soon. That's awesome, Mabel, and I'm really glad that we can help out. And I am planning, and here's a question that we can ask the CDL people. I'm going to very shortly here in the next few weeks do the pre-trip inspection videos for CDL, for tractor trailer unit. It's 45 minutes to do it, and would you prefer one video, 45 or 50 minutes? It's probably going to be an hour by the time I explain a few things. Or would you prefer that I had, say, 10 or 12 5-minute videos? Which of those would you find easier to deal with? I think I already know the answer, but I just want to hear from smart drivers here on the live stream and those of you on the replay about whether you would prefer one long 1 hour video or whether you prefer 10 shorter 5-minute, 6-minute videos. Okay. Connie, you're most welcome. Okay, Isaiah, Class A, so much. That's awesome. Brilliant. Okay, Jenna, I never kept up with keeping the license and have to retest. Okay, that's unfortunate. Okay, so Jen, I took my driving class and got my license about 7 years ago, but never drove because I live in a city with good public transit. Yes, I, I hear you on that, Jenna. I lived in Melbourne, Australia for a lot of years, and I never had a car, never drove while I was there, and then I came back to Canada and got insurance, and wow, was that a that was a surprise because I'm like, no, I haven't had insurance for 8 years. And they're like, I don't know whether a lot of you know this or not, but insurance is not based on, uh, it's not based on your driving record, which I could have proven with my driver's abstract. It's based on how long you've had the license in the jurisdiction that you've been in. So when they said to me, I'm getting insurance here in the province of British Columbia, they're like, well, how long have you had a license in the province of British Columbia? And I'm like, I just got it like a couple of months ago, and I was the highest risk, even though I'd been a driving instructor for nearly 20 years, which was pretty crazy. Okay, Hall phase, I would prefer a 4-part on CDL. Okay, Janet, driving makes me pretty nervous, and I just want my motorcycle endorsement. So you're working towards your motorcycle license. That's awesome. Amid, if a parking lot is empty, can I go over different parking spaces and make a U-turn? Amid, yes, you can. There's some parking lots that aren't going to work for you. There are other parking lots that will work for you. Because I know that a lot of my videos that I shoot here, and I do the slow speed maneuvers and teaching and videoing, I just go down here to the Polson Mall here in Vernon, and during the day, that parking lot is empty. It's only used at night when movies are being shown at the cinema. So that's where I go, and I know church parking lots are another good place that you can go during the day and those types of things. But if you have any concerns, you might just want to go and find the person in charge and say, "Listen, I'm just practicing out here. Is that all right?" Right? And they'll probably say it's okay. They're not going to say anything. Okay. Hall phase, or you can do both 1 hour and a multi-partner. For those 16 tips, I failed 3 times due to being overly cautious while doing low speeds, such as parallel parking. Stop position and K-turn. Should I do those slow speed maneuvers to pass? Yes, Epic. Those slow speed maneuvers are definitely going to help you become a better driver overall. Okay, concentrate on the slow speed maneuvers because, as I said, those slow speed maneuvers will teach you better skills for mastering the primary controls, the steering wheel, the throttle, and the brake. And once you get that in place, you know where your vehicle is in space and place, and all of that is going to help you out once you get out on the roadway, and you're going to be less cautious. But know that when you turn a corner, you have to get the vehicle up to speed as quickly as possible. So throttle down aggressively, get it up to speed, and then just get it adjusted so it's at the speed that you need to. Left-hand turns, you should be doing anywhere from you're in the States there, so for you're going to be doing anywhere from 12 to 20 miles an hour on a left-hand turn, and for right-hand turns you're going to be doing anywhere from 8 to 12 miles an hour on a right-hand turn. It's going to depend on the configuration of the intersection, obviously. Some intersections have a big splay, which means they're really rounded with a big curve on it, and you can go a bit faster, as opposed to other intersections are going to have a squared off corner, and because it's a squared off corner, you're going to have to turn more sharp. And when you turn more sharp, you're going to have to slow down and this is another tip for new drivers, and it's one of my favorite things to explain. You've all probably been in mall parking lots and you've seen drivers backing out from the space, and they're really tight on the front corner to the vehicle next, and you see them, they go, and they suck in, and the vehicle goes past it. I call it the vehicle actually gets smaller when they suck in their breath. It doesn't get smaller. What happens is that they slow down, and when you slow down, the vehicle turns sharper, and this works for any vehicle. The slower you go, the sharper the vehicle turns, regardless of whether you're in reverse or you're going forward. So know that when you want to turn sharper, slow down the vehicle. The vehicle will actually turn sharper than when it's going faster. And I lost why I was talking about this. Oh yes, so squared off corners, you're going to have to go slower. You're going to have to slow down to get around the corner. And so reversing and turning have two things in common, two pieces in common, which is to go slower. And the reason that you go slower on turns and when reversing, and there's 4 maybe 5 reasons for this. The first one is that the vehicle is going to turn sharper. The second one is that you can observe better because you're going slower. You have more time to observe. third, if something happens and the traffic situation changes, you have time to get the vehicle stopped. And then finally, if you are unfortunate enough that you do strike something and you're going slower, you're going to do less damage than if you're going at a higher speed. Because remember, as you increase in speed, the energy in the vehicle doesn't keep up with speed. It increases exponentially. So if you are doing, say, 20 kilometers an hour, and you increase your speed to 100 kilometers an hour, you don't have 5 times the amount of energy in the vehicle. You have 25 times the amount of energy in the vehicle. So when you're reversing and you're turning and you go slow and you are unfortunate to hit something, you're going to do far less damage than if you're going faster and you hit something, because you're going to do a lot of damage because of the exponential increase in energy in the vehicle of it moving forward. Jam, question. Let's say I'm making a left turn to go into a driveway, but there's another car going out of that driveway and is going left. There's no stoplight. Okay, so Jam, the general rules of right-of-way for that are that you on the roadway, on the public roadway, have the right-of-way. The car coming out of the driveway, if it's a private driveway, that has to give way to you. All right, but then we come back to the right-of-way is always given, the right-of-way is never taken, right? So if the driveway driver insists that they're going to go, then you need to wait for them, right? However, for the most part, and general rules of driving are that the vehicle on the roadway has the right-of-way, not the car pulling out of the driveway. Okay? Okay, Ryan, hello everyone. Have my G2 test in July and have some nerves but confident I will pass and have a practice run next week, and that is excellent. Congratulations, Ryan. We're really we're rooting for you. We're sending out our prayers and energy. That's awesome. Isaiah, when you turn from a left lane to a left lane, do you go right far out then come back left? Isaiah, what is it that you're asking me? So when you turn left, so whenever you're turning on a multi-lane roadway, it's right to right. So you're in the right lane and you turn to the right lane. If you're turning left, you turn left lane to left lane. And when you get the vehicle straight on the other road that you turned onto, then you signal, shoulder check, do all the lane change procedures, and you move out to the right-hand lane. Because as a new driver preparing for a road test, you don't want to you don't travel in the passing lane. If there are 3 lanes, then yes, you want to be in the center lane. But whenever you're turning, it's right lane to right lane and left lane to left lane. All right. Jenna will field the test. I'm unable to complete an instruction because it was not safe to do so, like being asked to make a left turn, but you are unable to get into the other lane in time. Jenna, oftentimes you can get into that other lane. Driving examiners, I mean, unless they're having a really bad day, most of the time they will give you ample notice of whether you're going to turn or change lanes or those types of things. So it's usually not how that, it's unlikely. It's probably less than 1% of the times that you're not going to be able to move over. And the other thing, Jenna, that I'm going to say to you is that make sure you signal. So if the driving examiner, and this goes for all the other smart drivers watching now and watching on the replay, and leave me a comment if you've had this experience that you have had difficulty getting over when the driving examiner gives you instruction. So what you need to do is if the driving examiner says to you, okay, I want you to make a left at the next controlled intersection, as soon as the driving examiner says that, get into that left-hand lane in preparation for turning. So put your signal on like immediately, shoulder check, check your mirrors, put your signal on, check the wing mirror, shoulder check, and get over into that lane as soon as the driving examiner says that. They're not going to deduct points or do anything like that. And it's the same thing for anybody who's same rule of thumb or same general rule for those of you who are navigating and those types of things. If you know in 2 blocks down the road that you got to make a left-hand turn, get into that left-hand lane as soon as possible, because the traffic situation may change once you get close to that intersection. You won't be able to get over. So move into the appropriate lane for the maneuver that you're going to execute immediately. As soon as the examiner tells you to make that left or right-hand turn, get into the appropriate lane in preparation for executing that maneuver on your road test. All right, and that's one of the skills that I will tell you. However, and again, we come back to the same thing. Unfortunately, I've had smart drivers, not very many. This is not a common problem. I have had smart drivers tell me that unfortunately they were unsuccessful on a road test because the driving examiner told them to execute a maneuver and they simply could not get over. Yeah, so unfortunately they weren't able to get over, and the driving examiner failed them for whatever reason. Now that that's not cool when that happens. So anyway, okay. Okay, I'm just reading a comment here that's held for review, so bear with me here. Okay, so Dorothy asked, "How does a four-way stop work?" All right, that's an excellent question, Dorothy, because one of the tips that I gave you in terms of passing a road test is that there is a difference between two-way stops and four-way stops. And four-way stops, first person to arrive, and the person on the right is going to go. Now, if you are taking your road test when a four-way stop is busy and there's a lot of traffic proceeding through the intersections, know that they are going to take turns. So one lane of traffic is, one street is going to go, and then the other street is going to go. This lane is going to go, and this lane is going to go. Now, the other general rules of right-of-way also apply at four-way stops. So right-hand turning vehicles have the right-of-way over left-hand turning vehicles. And as well, if you watch the video here, and Corey will get it up for you on four-way stops, if you have two vehicles on the one roadway that are both turning left, they can both go at the same time. So one thing that I would counsel you to do, if you're a little bit unsure about four-way stops for the purposes of passing your road test, go into your area wherever there's a four-way stop, take your lawn chair, go down there for 20 minutes, half an hour, and sit there and watch the traffic patterns at the four-way stops. Because to the uninitiated, four-way stops can be a little bit intimidating because they kind of got this pattern going on that defies the rules of what the book tells you. So unless you actually get a bit of, you're kind of tech savvy, you're not tech savvy, but you're a bit, you go down there and watch the traffic patterns and how they move through the four-way stop. The other thing you're going to learn about four-way stops is nobody comes to a complete stop at a four-way stop. All right, and you can watch the video on how to come to a complete stop, and Corey will get that up for you as well. People simply don't stop. They don't come to a complete stop. So for the purposes of a road test, this is one of the aspects of social driving where people drive according to a set of unofficial rules. You have to come to a complete stop if you're preparing for a road test. So know that for the purposes of your road test that you got to come to a complete stop. All right. Amid, if the examiner asks me to find a place to make a U-turn, can I enter an empty parking space and make a U-turn by going? Okay, we already talked about that. Now, and I'll just make a point on this, Amid, because that's a really good question. The other thing about slow speed maneuvers, U-turns, in my experience, they're only going to make you, most of the time, driving examiners are going to get you to do U-turns in cul-de-sacs. It's unlikely, unless you have a culture of doing U-turns where you live, that they're going to get you to do a U-turn on a busy road. They might, but it's unlikely, okay? Because we know as driving professionals that it is a high-risk maneuver, especially for novice drivers who are learning, or drivers who are taking a test and have a lot of anxiety and frustration, or not frustration, but a lot of anxiety and nervousness when they're taking their test. They're really not going to get them to do that. So know that for the purposes of your road test, okay? Patricia, my instructor told me to speed up on the acceleration lane to merge onto the highway even though the highway traffic was going. Yes, and Patricia, I'm sorry I haven't got back to this. I did see this question. Is this right? I'm confused. No, Patricia, this is, I hate to say about other driving instructors, but that's not the correct technique. You need to speed up on the acceleration lane to match either the posted speed limit on the highway or the flow of traffic, whichever is less. So if the flow of traffic is, so say for example, it's 60 miles an hour on the highway or freeway that you're merging onto, but traffic flow is only 45 miles an hour, you only need to get up to 45 miles an hour. You don't need to get up to the posted speed limit. Okay, so I'm not sure why your driving instructor got you to do that. I don't understand that, okay? So no, you need to get up to the posted speed limit or the flow of traffic, whichever is less, for the purposes of merging out onto a freeway highway. Burra, can you please list out the automatic fails in Canada? Also, maybe do a video on them. Burra, you can find those. I do have the course, Pass Your Road Test First Time. You can find the link down in the description there. And in that course, I have the list of automatic fails on a road test. Okay, Dorothy, I have another question. What does the instructor going to ask me before driving on the roadway? All right, so essentially, Dorothy, what happens on road test day is the driving examiner is going to do a bit of a pre-trip inspection. They're going to come out, they're going to introduce themselves, they're going to have their clipboard, they're going to go around the vehicle, they're going to check all the lights, they're going to get you to check the horn. If it's raining, they'll get you to check the windshield wipers, and as well, they'll check the seat belts, seats, and those types of things. So if you're taking your own personal vehicle for your road test, take it out the day before, get it washed, do a pre-trip inspection on it. Corey will put the video up for you on pre-trip inspections, what you need to look and what you need to check for prior to going down for your road test. So know that. And then the driving examiner will give you a little spiel. They won't ask you to do anything illegal. They won't ask you to do anything that's unsafe. And 98% of driving examiners are not going to trick you. Right? They're going to give you ample instructions. They're going to give you advance notice. They're usually 2 or 3 blocks before they ask you to turn. They're going to say, at the second controlled intersection, turn right. So they're going to give you lots of instruction. Some driving examiners will not use that terminology in terms of controlled and uncontrolled intersections. They'll just say, at the next intersection, turn right. And as I said, if they're telling you to turn right or telling you to turn left, of course it's this is right and this is left, then get in the appropriate lane well in advance before you get to the intersection. So know that, okay? Fink, I always need to thank you because you are one of the reasons to pass my road test, and I want to thank you for letting us know, and that's awesome. Congratulations. Krista, can I get an appointment with just you? Krista, yes, there is a way to do that. Send me an email, rick@smartdrivetest.com, and we'll set that up. Azzy G, after turning left at an intersection, is it a must to change lanes to the right immediately, or should I wait for the examiner to tell me to change lanes? No, Azzy G, when you make the left-hand turn, you have to move over to the right immediately. The examiner will not give you that instruction, so know that you need to travel in the right-hand lane, especially for the purposes of a road test, because you're going to be driving at the posted speed limit, and the posted speed limit is going to be less than what the traffic flow is. So if you're in that left-hand lane, you're simply going to be blocking other cars and those types of things, so you need to move over to the right-hand lane. Krista Lee, is it okay. Does your instructor have to take you to practice at the exam route, or is it up to you to ask? It depends, whether the driving instructor which you've taken driving lessons with is whether you're renting the car for road test day, whether that's part of your package or not. The road test package that you purchased prior to taking driving lessons with the driving instructor. So that is something that you will need to ask for the purposes of road test day and whatnot. And hello, Sam. How are you, my friend? DL's Driving Lessons by Big Mac Sam, BMS. There we go. And also check out Sam's YouTube channel as well. Sam has a YouTube channel, and I think Sam has recently passed 1,000 hours, 4,000 hours of watch time and 1,000 subscribers. Are you now monetized, Sam? That's the big deal on YouTube now, is that in order to start having commercials, or not commercials, but having YouTube run advertisements on your YouTube channel, you have to have 4,000 hours of watch time, and you have to have 1,000 subscribers. So I think Sam has met those criteria for getting his YouTube channel subscribed as well. Sam teaches driving in the Bronx there in New York City with Rookie Auto Driving School. So hello, Sam. Excellent. Dorothy, you're most welcome. And Burra, you have your road test tomorrow. Congratulations, or good luck on that. And be sure to stop back and let us know how that goes. Felistas, there we go. Thank you for this live chat all the way from Botswana, watching it. That is awesome. And what time is it there in Botswana? And I don't think I'm saying that right either. Sam, you are most welcome, my friend. All right, so since we're talking about some tips about how to pass a road test. The 4 major criteria for a road test, regardless of class of license, regardless of where you were in the world, regardless of what vehicle class you're going for: observation, communication, speed management, space management. I had a little brain cramp for just a minute. So those are the 4 components that you need. So space management. You need to have a following distance of 2 to 3 seconds. Make sure that you don't get near any other road users or fixed objects for the purposes of passing your road test. Make sure you stop at the correct stopping position at intersections, at stop signed intersections. It's going to be before the stop line, before the crosswalk, or at the edge where the 2 roads meet if those other conditions don't exist. And somebody was asking me that, so crosswalk or sidewalk, you got to stop before that for the purposes of passing your road test. Stop in traffic so you can see the tires making clear contact with the pavement in front, and as well keep a hold of that after you get your license and continue to drive. It's excellent defensive posturing. There you go. It's just after 12 in Botswana. Excellent. There we go. And welcome to the live stream. We're glad you could tune in. That's brilliant. All right, so space management. What else do I need to tell you about space management? Drive in the spaces between the gaps. Don't block intersections. Speed management. Posted speed limit, flow of traffic, or the capability of the vehicle, whichever is less, is the speed that you travel on a road test. As well, if you do get into a congested area, say for example you're on a residential street and there's traffic on both sides, parked on both sides of the road, you can go slower. If you're in a, say, going past a mall and there's lots of pedestrians, there's lots of traffic and those types of things around, then yes, you can slow down, cover the brake. Okay, that is an essential skill, being able to cover the brake. If a hazard presents itself that could potentially cause another road user or a driver to deviate into your path, and cover the brake until the hazard moves out of the way and then carry on. All right, so that's speed management. Posted speed limit, flow of traffic, capability of your vehicle, whichever is less. And when I say capability of the vehicle, that's usually only going to apply to larger vehicles, those driving trucks and buses and whatnot, or me driving the buggy here in the mountains in British Columbia, because if I go up Dump Hill, I got to gear down and rev up to get the buggy to keep going the speed limit going up the hill. Okay. Communication. You need to communicate effectively with other traffic and road users. So the ways that we communicate: lights and signals, horns, position of our vehicle on the roadway, eye contact. If you're unsure for any reason what another road user is doing, a cyclist or a person on a scooter or a pedestrian, get eye contact, and then you can figure out what you're going to be doing. And then hand gestures. Do not wave people through on a road test. I will tell you right now, if you do that on a road test, you will fail, okay? But if another road user, say for example there's a pedestrian standing on the corner, you're not sure what they're going to do, just kind of wave them and say stop, and then you proceed, or you let them go in front of you, whatever happens. But don't wave somebody else through on an intersection during a road test. So that's communication, and then you have to observe correctly for the purposes of passing a road test. So your scanning pattern needs to be put in place every 8 to 12 seconds, and it's essentially looking far down the road, in, check your wing mirror, far down the road, both shoulders, in, check your instrument panel, and that goes in with speed management because you're checking your speed. Far down the road, both corners, in, check your wing mirrors, and you're going to repeat that every 8 to 12 seconds for your scanning pattern. And then observing for the purposes of reversing. So when you're reversing, hand on the back of the passenger seat, and you're looking out the back window. And as I said, you cannot use a backup camera for the purposes of backing up. Every vehicle length that you back up, stop, do a 360-degree scan, and then continue. And I forgot to mention that before you start backing up, make sure you do a 360-degree scan and make sure there aren't any other road users around your vehicle. All right? Most, except for the state of California, that's the only place where they make you back up on a public roadway along a curb. So that's the only place you're going to have to stop every vehicle length. Other than that, most of the time it's just going to be parallel parking or reverse stall parking and those types of things, so you're not going to have to observe. And then lane changes. Anytime you move the vehicle sideways or turns, 2 shoulder checks, quick turn of the head, 90-degree turn of the head, and 3 flashes on the signal before you start moving over. So anytime that you're going to signal and communicate, 3 flashes minimum. So click, 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 and then you can move over. Because the reason we give 3 flashes on the signal before we move the vehicle is The first signal gets the attention of the other road users or drivers. The second signal allows them to locate your vehicle and say, okay, that person is moving. And then the third flash on the signal allows them to take some sort of counteraction. So for example, if you're changing lanes and they're kind of back a little bit, they're like, oh, okay, I'm going to stay back here and allow that person to move over. And I've had lots of people say to me, oh, other people just will speed up and those types of things. It happens every now and again, but it doesn't happen very often. If you give other road users ample time and you say, listen, I wish to move over, they'll help you out most of the time, right? And, you know, driving is a lot about attitude and energy and those types of things. So if you're nice and calm, other people are going to help you out. So those are the 4 major components of any road test anywhere in the world, regardless of class of license. So speed management, space management, observation, and communication are the 4 major components of any road test. Jenna, my area has different speeds for residential and business areas. There are areas around the testing center with both of these things. How can I tell which is which? All right, so Jenna, the first thing you need to know is that the speed limits inside urban areas are 30 miles an hour, 50 kilometers an hour, unless otherwise posted. So if there isn't a speed limit sign that you haven't seen for some time, then just resume the 30 miles an hour or the 50 kilometers an hour inside the city, and you're going to be fine. You might be assigned a couple of demerits because you missed the speed sign, but for the most part, Jenna, practice in and around the test center where you're taking your road test, and then you'll get a good sense of where these speed signs are and where there are changes in the speed limits. All right, so that's what I want to suggest to you. All right, okay, so Dorothy, after backing, do I need to put the car on park? Okay, so it depends whether you're parking or not. If you're just reversing, if you're in the state of California, for example, where they get you to reverse along a curb, you don't have to stop and secure the vehicle, put it in park, and then apply the parking brake. However, if you did park, so say for example you were doing hill parking and they got you to park along the curb, then yes, you would put the vehicle in park and you would apply the parking brake, shut the vehicle off, and say I'm done. Or if you were reverse stall parking, then they would get you to do that, okay? So it depends whether you're parking or not. But if you're parking, and for all of you taking a road test, whether you're parallel parking, reverse stall parking, whatnot, you do have to secure the vehicle after you're done. And that includes putting the transmission into park, applying the park. Okay, so the proper way to put the parking brake on, hold the foot brake on, put the transmission into park, and then apply the parking brake and then release the foot brake. And that's the correct procedure for doing it. And Corey will put the video up for you on parking brakes and what you need to do. But you do need to apply the parking brake every time you park the vehicle. Blessed, I've been parking far away from other cars to avoid parking near cars. How do you know when to turn the wheel so you don't swipe the other vehicle reversing or coming out of a parking lot? Excellent question, Blessed. And Corey will put the video up for you on hit the cone. Smack that cone. Yes, and just go and get some of those 1 meter tall, 36 meter tall pylons and practice that. Blessed, just drive up on both sides of the vehicle and try and hit the cone with your car, because hitting the cone isn't a big deal, right? It's not going to do any damage to your car. If you do that and you hit another car, then it's a big deal. But if you practice with the cones in the parking lot doing those slow speed maneuvers, Blessed, that's going to teach you where your vehicle is in space and place and will get you more comfortable with parking near other vehicles. Now, the other thing you can do, Blessed, to sort of lead up to parking in amongst other cars is when you go into the parking lot, instead of parking between 2 cars, just park next to 1 car, and then you've got all this space on the other side where you're not parked beside the other car. The other thing, and this is one of the things that I do in parking lots that is my ideal, is I want to drive through space. So I park farther away from the door, and I will drive into the parking lot, drive across, and drive into the other parking lot, and that way I can just drive out, and it's a lot safer. You get a bit of exercise. It's a benefit because you parked a bit farther away from the store, so you get a bit more walk. Okay, there you go. Odie, as a new driver, I always come and visit your YouTube channel for me to have a continuing, because your videos are comprehensive in details that make your videos exceptional to several videos on YouTube. Thank you so much, Odie, for that compliment. It's tremendously appreciated, and I really like that compliment. That's nice. And I do like the fact that, you like the fact that they're a bit more detailed, and I'm trying to do that for people who need to learn and pass their road test and get their license. That's really great. Sam, quick question. Do you pump your own gas where you live? As far as I know, the state of New Jersey is the only state I know that they don't pump their own gas. Yes, most places here, Sam, you do have to pump your own gas. There are a few places that will charge you a bit more. We have a couple of cooperative fuel stations here. We do have one in Vernon where they will pump the fuel for you. I know we have a cooperative fuel station on Vancouver Island as well, and they will pump your fuel for you as well. Now, I could be incorrect on this, and there might be some other smart drivers that might know as well. I think they charge a couple of cents more per liter. In the States is going to be, a couple, 5 or 10 cents a gallon. But they charge you a little bit more to pump your fuel for you. But for the most part here in British Columbia, you do have to pump your own fuel. And the other thing that they did here, Sam, unfortunately a few years ago we had a runner at one of the fuel stations, and the cashier ran out after the person and they got killed. I don't know the details of the situation. Maybe somebody, one of the other smart drivers, will know the details of that situation. But here in British Columbia, you have to prepay for your fuel now. And that may have gone out to other states and other provinces as well. Corey might know. They're in Manitoba. I don't know whether you have to prepay in Manitoba as well. But here in British Columbia, if you're paying cash, you have to go in, pay for the fuel, and then go out and pump your fuel. And as well, if you're using credit cards, then you got to put your card into the fuel pump before you pump your fuel, and then carry on with your life. Okay, so so Corey says some of they have co-ops there in British Columbia as well that they will pump your fuel for you. Blessed, thank you for your help. Have a blessed week. You as well, Blessed. Thank you so much for showing up to the live stream and for your contribution. Always greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. Odie, my wife just had her Pennsylvania license. She never enrolled in driving lessons. She watched your videos, and I taught her based on your comprehensive videos. Even if it's lengthy, it's worth it. That's awesome. Congratulations to your wife on getting her license, Odie. That's really great. And I'm glad that we could help out and give you some tips and techniques and strategies for passing your road test. That's really great. Congratulations to your wife. Please pass that congratulations on to your wife for us. Awesome. Okay, so bricks for wheels. So it depends on where you get your fuel there in Manitoba. So that is a provincial, BC provincial law, a provincial law, that's what I'm trying to say, here in British Columbia, that we have to prepay for our fuel, and that's because of that, unfortunately, young person who was killed when somebody was running for the fuel. And like I said, I don't know the details of it. All right, so we're wrapping up near the end here, and if you're watching on the replay, consider subscribing to Smart Drive Test. Share around on social media. All of that helps out other drivers as well to get their license and become better drivers and start a career as a truck or bus driver. And Sam says, prepay is the way to go these days. Yeah, a lot of people are doing that, Sam. All right, so we're going to wrap up here, and if you passed a road test in the last couple of weeks, congratulations on passing your road test. If you have a road test coming up in the next couple of weeks or whatnot, then good luck on your road test. And if you're watching on the replay, leave us a comment. Let us know where you're tuning in from and what class of license you're going for. All right, thanks again, and remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a great day. Bye now.